Alright, hi. Back to the maintenance technical aspect of a locomotive. We're on 323 the cranking contactor. Remove and disassemble cleaning and inspection, repair, assembly, and installation adjustment tests. Toolkit installation toolkit SC49497CLE12 materials parts dry cleaning solvent electrical installation varnish testing equipment variable DC voltage supply. The warning high voltage operation equipment do not be misled. The term low voltage or the potential as low as 50 volts may cause death. Remove the rings, bracelets, wristwatches, and neck chains before working around the locomotive. Jewelry can catch on the equipment, cause injury, and may short across the electrical circuit, causing severe burns and electrical shock. One, open the electrical cabinet, open the set the polarity switch to open, make sure the electrical wires are labeled in the wire numbers or the polarity signs. Tag the disconnecting wires from the contactor assembly. Remember that usually the screws hit them with lock washers and nuts. We'll move on to the two. Remove the two cap screws, lock washers, and crank contactor assembly. 3. Remove the cap screws 4. Right here, 1, 2, 3. Caps. Remove the cap screws 4, lock washers, flat washers. Remove the arc chute. Step 4. Remove the Allen head screws, lock washer, flat washer, and remove the stationary contact tip 11. Remove the two cap screws 12 and 13, and you remove the two cap screws, the lock 14, and the lock washer 15, and flat washer 16. Remove the stationary contact tip 17. Remove Allen head screws, lock washer, flat washers. Flat washers, remove the contactable tip, and remove the two cap screws. Lock washers, remove shunt. This is your cranking contactor. This leather band right here, number 24. You kick that that snaps off and breaks the power connection to the cranking contactor. Remove the calibration screw, lock nut, calibrating screw 25, flat washer 26, spacer 26. Buckling, breaking screw, lock nut, star washer, calibrating screw, spring. Remove the cotter spring, the cotter spring 31, spring seat 32, contactor pressure 33. Remove the two scraps 34, lock washer 35, pins 36, clamps 37, flat washer 38. Remove the contact lever 39. Remove the cap screws 40, 41, lock washer, flat washer 42, remove armature 43, and contact assembly 44. Remove the two cap screws 45, lock washer 46, remove the inner locker 47, and armature 48. Remove the two cap screws, lock washer 50, operating coil 51, two cap screws, and lock washers 53, flat washers 54, magnet frame 55, and from the base 56. Alright, the disassembly continued. 14, disassemble the interlocking 47 with the following. Note that all contacts are removed the same way. Only one is called out. Remove the nut 57, lock washer 58, flat washer 59, and contact finger 60. Remove the screw 61, lock washer 62, washer 63, contact support 64, and from the base 65. Cleaning and inspection warning: DV dry cleaning solvent PD 680 is toxic and flammable. Wear protective goggles and gloves. Use only well ventilated areas. Avoid contact with skin, eyes, and clothes, and don't breathe in the vapors. Do not use near open flame or excessive heat. The flash point is 100 to 138 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 to 59 degrees Celsius. And if it becomes dizzy, get fresh air of the medical immediately. If the contact of the eyes is made with your eyes, medical aid immediately. Compressed air is used to clean, propose. Purposes will not exceed 30 psi. Do not direct compressed air against the skin. Use goggles and full face shield. Note: do not file and attempt to clean stationary contact tip 11 and movable contact tip 21. Silver alloy surfaces on contacts may become blackened, pitted, and eroded. These conditions will not hamper the operation of the contactor. 15. Use the dry cleaning solvent and clean the metal parts dry with compressed air. 16. Clean and inspection repaired. 16. Inspection repair components. Arc chute. Inspect the arc chute. Replace the plates and that are broken and burned 3/4 through. Replace if the burn close to the screws. Caution, do not use sandpaper or emery on cloths or dress tips. Inspect the stationary contact 11, movable contact 21. If replace the worn down to 3/32 of an inch or 3.38 millimeters, replace the silver tips with silver if the silver is worn through. The contact lever, inspect for the bushings and the inside diameter worn with 0.32 of an inch or 8.12 millimeters. Replace the lever. Inspect the hinge. Be replaced the pin if scored or burned. Shunt. Inspect the braid, copper, wearing, fraying, discolorization, stiffness. Replace the shunt if any of the above conditions exist. Note the indication overheating, blacking should appear in these areas, and the thread must clean, must within it stand 130 pound inch of the torque of 5/16 of an inch by 18-inch socket, a head cap screw full thread engagement, max diameter bushing 0.32 of an inch, and a 90% surface must be clean of file by not retaining but retain flatness. No burning or melting, warping permitted. The shunt for inspected braid, copper, wearing, fraying, discolorization, stiffness. Replace the shunt if any of the above conditions exist. Alright, E, the operating coil. Use a multimeter check coil resistance. Replace the coil if measured and value is not between 5.76 or 7.04 ohms. Check the coil terminals for damage. Check the coil for damage, dry, brittle insulation. If necessary, insulation apply. Red insulation varnish. Replace the coil if necessary. Alright, cleaning, inspection, and repair. The armature. Inspect the armature for the round bearing edge and uneven wear. If the armature bearing is worn beyond 1/32 of an inch, replace the armature. Inspect the armature bracket extension for the end of the armature to which the calibration spring is attached. 3. Inspect the pin over the contact pressure spring fits, and replace the pin if necessary. 1/64 of an inch remain between the hole and the end of the pin. 4. Inspect the armature. If the shim of the portion of between the armature magnet frame is pounded more than halfway through and short bent up is more than 1/2 through. Alright, if you got a less than 1/64 inch metal at the end, the dimension is the top of the hole. A shim pounded halfway through. Shim worn 2/32 of an inch. Bearing edge radius 1/32 of an inch. Maximum wearness of 1/16 of an inch and 1/32 of an inch radius from the magnet frame to the calibrating screw. Less than 32 of an inch at any point, worn through, worn half through in the armature. The armature stop. Inspect the armature stop for the grooving, uneven wear. If the armature stop is grooved of more than 1/16 of an inch or 1.58 millimeters, a bearing edge of the armature, replace the armature stop. Calibrating spring. Inspect the calibrating spring. Replace the calibrating spring if cracked, corroded, notch, or end of the hook has lost tension. The contact pressure spring. Inspect the pressure spring. Replace the spring if corroded notches on the end of the hook. Look on the tensions and yield to showing the signs of electrical damage. Stationary contact tip. Inspect the contact support discolorization caused by overheating for the cracks. Please replace the contact if any of the above conditions are found. 2. Inspect the tapped holes for signs of burred, stripped, damaged threads. Replace the contact if the tapping of the hole will not restore the threads. Base. The base 56. Inspect the base for soundness. Replace the base if it appears the oil soaked or cracked. Paint the base with 1 or 2 coats of installation varnish. The assembly. Putting it back together. The assembly 17. Assembly interlock 47. The following. The all contacts are assembled the same way. 1 is called out. The position contact support 64 on the base 65. Installation flat washer 63. Lock washer 62. End screw 61. Position the contact finger 60 on the contact support 64. Install the flat washer 59. Lock washer 58. Front nut 57. Position magnet status 50. Magnet frame 55 on the base 56. Install the 2 flat washers, lock washers, and cap screws. Position the operating coil on the magnet frame. Install the 2 lock washers 50 and cap screws 49. Position the armature stop 48. Interlocking 47. The magnet frame in 2 lock washers, cap screws, and 45. Position the armature contact assembly on the armature stop and install the flat washers, lock washers, and cap screws. Install the 2 flat washer clamps and pins and contact levers. Position the contact lever on the armature. Install the 2 lock washers and cap screws. Install the contacting pressure spring 33 on the pin contactor level 39. Install the spring seat 32 and the cotting pin 31. Connecting the calibrating spring 31 armature stop and the install star washer calibrating screw lock nut 28. Spacer 27, flat washer 29, caps calibrating screw 25, and then tightening the calibrating screw lock nut. Position the shut or the armature stop. Install the two lock washers, cap screws. Position the movable contact shunts and armature stop. Install the flat washers, lock washers, Allen head screws, and position the stationary contact tip support 17 on the base, 56. Install the two flat washers, lock washer 59 on the cap screws, 14. Position the cover 13. Install the two cap screws 12, and position the stationary contact 11 stationary contact tip on the 17. Install the flat washers 10 and lock washers 9 by Allen head screws. Position the arch chute and stationary contact tip support. Install the flat washers, lock washers, and cap screws. Installation continued. Position the cranking contactor assembly 3 in the high voltage cabinet. Install the two lock washers, cap screws. Connect the electrical wires in accordance with the wire diagram and remove tags. Adjustment. Measure the contact tip overall travels. Note the overall travel in the distance movable contact tip would travel after the touching stationary tip of the stationary tip when removed. Measure the overall travel by either method pin 1 or pin A, method 2, pin B, and the amount of the overall travel size required to measure the amounts. Contact tips just touching. Overall travel gauge A against the end of the air gap shim not on it, and the core head air gap shim. The pin over traveled the B resting against the spring pin, and the spring pin energizing the coil, inserting the wedge, holding on the armature fully closed. The adjustment is the new tips, new contactor 10/32 of an inch has a status of go at 0.1/16,000 of an inch or 200 of an inch. 2/10 of an inch, and 12/32 by 12/32 of the new contactor tip has a no-go status at 207 thousandths or 2400ths at B. The old contactor tips 9/32 has a status to go at 1600s and 1800 at B. 13/32 no go at 223 thousandths and 2600 at B. The low limit old contactor tip at 7/32 cents no go at 1300 and at A, and at B 1400. If the overall travel is insufficient, check the following conditions: badly worn, bent, incorrect tips, bent stationary contact tip supports. If overall travel is high, check the following conditions: bent, incorrect tip, bent armature stop, worn, bent contactor lever. The cranking contactor adjustments as continued. 33 measuring tip brake as follows. Check the contactor armature is against the stop of the wheel making the measurement, otherwise reading will be false. Measure the tip of the brake at the air gap at the point of the minimum spacing. Tips open. The tip brake shall be 14/32 of an inch to 19/12/32 of an inch, or 11.118 to 15.08 millimeters from the worn contactor at 50/32 of an inch to 18/32 of an inch, or 11.09 or 14.28 millimeters from the new contactor. If the tip is correct, not correct, check the following conditions: worn, bent contact tips, bent armature stop, worn or bent contact lever. D. Adjust the gap bending the armature and measure the tip alignment, adjusting the foul as the maximum allowable side to the side. Misalignment is the contact tip is 3/32 of an inch or 2.38 millimeters. Check the tip of the misalignment. If necessary, loosen the screws and hold the magnet frame stationary contacting support to the block and move the assembly until the tips are aligned properly. The tip misalignment cannot be corrected. Check the following conditions: groove uneven wear of the armature stop, round knife edge under wearing the armature pivot point, or grooving uneven wear of the armature guide. Following adjustments. Measure the tip pressure as follows. Measure the initial pressure as follows by the block armature. A1, the block armature, not the tip lever, so that the contact nearly touch. 2. Measure the pull required to adjust. Move the contact tip against the contact pressure spring. Check the pull of 2 to 4 pounds. Measure the final pressure as follows. Block the armature is in the closed position. Measure the pull required to separate the contact tips. Check that the pull for 5 to 8 pounds. If the pressure misalignments are not correct, the check of the following conditions: low initial pressure, defective contact pressure spring, worn spring speed, or washer worn stop. 2. Low final pressure, defective pressure spring, low worn allowance, and badly worn tips. To test, measure the adjusting coil operating current as follows. The multimeter measure resistance of the coil. Indication shall be between 5.76 and 7.04 ohms. Connect the power supply ammeter to coil. Apply the current, increase slowly until the contactor picks up. Check the contactor pickup with the hesitation. This is one of the quick motions, including the contact wipe. The measure shall be 1.8 to 2.2 amperes. Adjusting the calibrating screw until the proper value of the current is indicated. 37. Manually operate the interlocking contacts. Multimeter check resistant contacts for the infinity while open and continuing while closed. And that, my friend, is once again thanks for this is the instructional video for cranking contactor technical maintenance assistance.